जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी
जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन
यमुना तीरावनचारी
यमुना तीर वनचारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी
जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन
यमुना तीरावनचारी
यमुना तीर वनचारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय
जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय प्रभुपाद
जय जय प्रभुपाद
जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद। बोली हरि नाम संकीर्तनीय की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल। All glories to Sammalyotis Hare Krishna. All glories to Sammalyotis Hare Krishna. All glories to Sammalyotis Hare Krishna. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Welcome to all of you for this Monday to Thursday Bhagavad Gita classes. So today we are going to read the Bhagavad Gita 2:18. Antavanta ime deha.
Are you sharing, Prabhu? You can't.
No, Mataji, I can't. Because I don't
okay,
know.
then give us 1 minute.
Okay.
18 you said, right?
So I will read just Antavanta ime deha nityasyo
Antavanta ime deha
नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः
nityashyokta sharirinaha
अनासीनो अप्रमेयस्य
anashino prameyasya
तस्माद्रुद्रयुद्धवस्य भारत
tasmad yudhyasva bharata
अन्तवन्त इमे देहा
Antavanta ime deha
नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः
nityashyokta sharirinaha
अनासीनो अप्रेमेयस्य
anashino prameyasya
तस्माद्युद्धस्व भारतः
tasmad yudhyasva bharata
अन्तवन्त इमे देहा
Antavanta ime deha
नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः
nityashyokta sharirinaha
अनासीनो अप्रमेयस्य
anashino prameyasya
तस्माद्युद्धस्व भारतः
tasmad yudhyasva bharata
Anyone want to read?
Antavanta ime deha
Antavanta ime deha
nityashyokta sharirinaha
नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः
anashino prameyasya
अनासीनो प्रमेयस्य
tasmad yudhyasva bharata
तस्माद्युद्धस्व भारत
Antavanta ime deha
अन्तवन्त इमे देहा
nityashyokta sharirinaha
नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः
anashino prameyasya
अनासीनो प्रमेयस्य
tasmad yudhyasya bharata
तस्माद्युद्धस्व भारत
अन्तवन्त इमे देहा
अन्तवन्त इमे देहा
नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः
नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः
अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य
अनासीनो प्रमेयस्य
तस्मात् युध्यस्व भारत.
तस्मात् युध्यस्व भारत. Word by word translation. Antavantah, perishable.
Antavantah, perishable.
Ime, all these.
Ime, all these.
Deha, material bodies.
Deha, material bodies.
Nityasya, eternal in existence.
Nityasya, eternal existence.
Yuktaha are said.
Yuktaha are said.
Saririnaha, of the embodied soul.
Sharirinaha, of the embodied soul.
Anasinaha, never to be destroyed.
Anashinaha, never to be destroyed.
Aprameyasya, immeasurable.
Aprameyasya, immeasurable.
Tasma, therefore.
Tasma, therefore.
Yuddhasya, yuddhasva, fight.
Yudhyasya, fight. Yudhyasva, fight.
Bharata, O descendant of Bharata.
Bharata, O descendant of Bharata.
Translation and purport given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. One more time. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. Purport. The material body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately, or it may do so after 100 years. It is a question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely. But the spirit soul is so minute that it cannot even be seen by an enemy, to say nothing of being killed. As mentioned in the previous verse, it is so small that no one can have any idea how to measure its dimension. So, from both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation, because the living entity as he is cannot be killed, nor can be material body be saved for any length of time or permanently protected. The minute particle of the Holy Spirit acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observance of religious principle should be utilized. In the Vedanta Sutra, the living entity is qualified as light because he is part and parcel of the Supreme Light. As sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains this material body. As soon as the spirit soul is out of this material body, the body begins to decompose. Therefore, it is the spirit soul which maintains this body. The body itself is unimportant. Arjun was advised to fight and not sacrifice the cause of religion for material bodily considerations. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते श्रीलरूपस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। I am begging to all of you, please be patient and also give your blessings so that I can speak few words. So the whole section it goes like a Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, title is Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra, and also it is known as Visada Yoga. And when Arjun goes and see in the middle of the army, and then he become illusioned, and he started giving the reason not to fight. So many reasons he has given. And in at the beginning of chapter 2 also he goes, and then chapter 2 title is the content of the summary of Bhagavad Gita. And this chapter divided into 5 sections. And in chapter 1, Arjun he kept into the doubts, and he is giving the reason not to fight, and then he is confused at the end, and then his relationship with Krishna changes, and he start from friendship, and then it goes to the guru disciple relationship, and he says to that I am confused, and I am considering you as my spiritual master, and please guide me. So the 5 section is the first sections is Arjuna's further reason for fighting, and then also he surrenders from verse number 1 to 10. And then verse number 11 to 30 is called the Jnana sections, and Jnana to open his knowledge, and then he can fight. And we are in that section only because there is a death for the body in other sense, and then no death for the soul, and body can never be saved no matter what. Either you fight or not fight, it doesn't matter, but you cannot save the body. And then 31 to 38 is called Karma Kanda sections. Means Karma Kanda to perform rituals, and then after that enjoyment is there. So do your prescribed duties, and then also get some material enjoyment and material gain, so that you can go to the upper planet, heavenly planet, and enjoy there. And then also going, if you are not going to do your duty, because you have to protect the dharma in other sense, because this fight was the religious fight. So if you are not doing, then you will be infamous and also incur the sin also. So then by not fighting, so you will lose your positions also. And but if you are going to win, then you will have the kingdom for your enjoyment, and even if you are going to die, then you will be in the heavenly planet promoted to. So then better to fight. That's what Krishna is saying. And then after that, 239 to 251 is called Buddhi Yoga. Apply your buddhi to fight it. karma kanda and then niskama karma, and then one's work with the knowledge, how to work in the knowledge, and then also how to detach from the fruits of that work also. So that is called buddhi yoga. And then after that, 54 to 72 sthiti pragyas means samadhi stage. So become fixed in the Krishna consciousness. In other sense, he is saying to Arjuna, you fix your mind unto me and then fight for this, my purpose. And then other sense also it is called the means be equipoised. And that is this, by doing that you will come to the stage of the liberation. In other sense also means without attachment, be detached and apply the buddhi yoga, and then you will be karma free in other sense. And characteristic of the soul has been described from 17 to 25 verse. Eternal and individual souls, generally Mayavadi things merge, but here it is means it is eternally, and also individuality we don't lose. And then soul is unborn, and soul is indestructible, eternal, and soul is immeasurable. In this section which uh, we read it that. And then soul never undergoes changes, and soul is steady, immutable, never change like a matter, and then never becomes the God. Soul is subordinate to the super soul in other sense. It cannot be cut, burned, or dried or wet, immovable or unchangeable, everlasting, eternally the same. So Lord is Sajidanand, and soul is also being as a part and parcel of the Lord. It is also Sachidanand in other sense. And where it is situated in the heart, and then also present everywhere, like a everywhere soul is present. And symptom of the soul is consciousness. And then 17 and 18 it goes together mostly. 17 says that the soul cannot be killed and the body cannot be saved from the death. That is the meaning of the whole theme of the 17 and 18 sections. And the reason for saying all those things to Lord Krishna, that no matter if you are trying to get out from the war and you are not going to do your duty, prescribed duty, but still those Kauravas cannot be escaped from the death. That's what Krishna is warming in other sense also. So from the purport, there has been descriptions about body, soul, and importance of the spirit souls, and then also practical applications too. So body is perishable, even soul is out of the body, then it it is perishable, it start smelling, and it will, in other sense you can say that it is perishable, and immediately or after 100 of the years, it depend upon when soul is leaving this body. And then also one acquire the body according to the what kind of karma he has performed, and then accordingly he will get the body. And practical application is that you have to follow the religious principle, and that has to be utilized so that it it can means that individual soul can go upper and upper and upper, higher and higher, or so that there is a chance for the going back home, back to Godhead, is more possibility is there. And that's why karma kanta and other rituals are there. At least they will be hearing the name of the Vishnu, and then somehow if they are going to do something in the Vishnu temple and hearing the Krishna Katha, or there is a chance for coming in contact with the devotees of the Lord, or in other words saint, and then slowly their life will change. So and second thing is soul is indestructible, soul is too minute, and it cannot be seen by the our means material eyes or material vision. And Srila Prabhupada here is mentioned the soul is too minute to be seen by the enemy, what to speak of being the kill. And maybe in the previous verse must have been given that it is the one of the 10,000 part of the hair, tip of the hair. And soul is immeasurable, it means too small to measure it. From the material scale, but the spiritual scale is different. And that's why it has been mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in the purport that it is tip of the hair, it can be divided into 100 pieces and then further 100 pieces. So that way, means it is too small. And spirit soul is important, not the body, because as soon as the spirit soul is out of the body begins to degrade or decomposes. And reference he has given, living entity is qualified as light, Vedanta Sutra, analogy. And then also he has given because being the part and parcel of the supreme light. How does this works help Arjuna to overcome from the lamentation of the material compassion? That's why he is going through the Jnana sections about describing about the soul. And living entity cannot be killed. If body will be perishable and body have the death. And it cannot be saved also. No matter with the time, it will be finished. And Krishna is giving advice to Arjuna to fight and not sacrifice the religious principles for the material things, or in other words, bodily considerations. um, with the time it destroyed. So Krishna, he says in Bhagavad Gita 11:32 that I am the Kala Rupa. So 11:32 he goes that Kalo Asmin. Arjun, he asking, who are you? He was very fearful and he start questioning, who are you? I never seen like that. And then he goes that Kalo Asmi Lokachaya Krita Bridho Lokan Samhartum Mih Pravitta Rite Api Tvam Na Bhavishyanti Sarve Ye Avasthita Pratyanikesu Yodha. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, time I am the great destroyer of the world, and I have come here to destroy all people with the expectations of you. Means I'm giving you the chance. The Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. So he's saying, I'm the Kal Rupa, time, I am. And then his mission, he's revealing his mission to destroy everything, all the people in all the world except Pandava. And then he indicates that even if Arjun did not want to fight, they will die, in other words. And then he goes in 33 and he mentions 33 and 34. Krishna is giving the instructions to Arjuna to fight for me. He's giving that. Become my nimitta matra. Tasmat tva mutistha yaso labhasva jitva satrun bhunksya rajyam samriddham mayaivaite nihata purvameva nimitta matram bhava sabhyasachinaha. Sabhyasachina means Arjun's name. Hey Sabhyasachi, you get up and prepare to fight and win glories. Conquer your enemy and enjoy the flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Sabyasachi, can be put an instrument in the fight. So he's saying, Nimitta Matram Bhava, become my instrument, in other words. And theme is that I have already destroyed to them all of your enemies and become my instrument to win the glory. He's giving credit to the Arjuna. And word Sabyasachi means who fights obediently, means left and right like anything. And then also one who can shoot arrow very expertly. Meaning of Sabyasachi is that Nimitra Matram, become my instrument. And that's what Krishna is saying in the whole section, Jnana sections also. To become my instrument. And based on the knowledge. And sign of the indication also, his intelligence is showing that. To recognize the whole world, that the whole world is moving under plan of the Lord. And fools thinks that no, it is going like that only. And then in 34 he is saying Drona, Bhisma, Jayadratha, Karna and the other great warrior have already been destroyed by me. Therefore kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight and you will vanquish your enemies in battle. In Srimad Bhagavatam 7.2.42, it has been mentioned, Idam Sariram Purushasya Mohajam Yatha Prithag Bhautikam Iyate Griham Yathau Dakaiha Parthiva Tejasyera Janaha Kalena Jato Vikrito Vinasyati. So he is giving here, it has given the example of the household going out. Just as a householder, although different from the identity of his house, think his house to be identical with him, so the conditioned soul, due to ignorance, accept the body to be himself. Although the body is actually different from the soul, soul is not the body. The body is obtained through a combination of portion of earth, water, and fire, and when the earth, water, and fire are transformed in the course of time, the body is vanquished. The soul has nothing to do with this creation and dissolution of the body. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that we transmigrate from one body to another in bodies that are product of our illusion. But as spirit souls, we always exist separately from material conditions, conditional life. The example given here is that a house or car is always different from its owner. But because of attachment, the conditioned soul thinks it to be identical with him. A car or house is actually made of material elements. As long as the material elements combine together properly, the car or house exists, and then they are disassembled. The house or the car is disassembled. The spirit soul, however, always remains as he is. If we can look ourselves only, body is changing, boyhood to youth, and then further degrading and old age, and finally, but we do feel anything. Our body is not giving our proper relationship with us according to our own will, but we are the same person during the childhood and then boyhood and then youth age or maybe old. There is no change. So it means body is destructible and it will be destroyed, and also there is a transformation, six kind of transformation with the time. So birth, those who has taken the birth from the womb of the mother's body and then remains sometimes and then grows and then produces byproduct, means children and all those things, produces some effects and then gradually slowly deteriorates and finally vanquishes. So these six changes are transformations are there with the time. And I was reading, then I found that there is a story in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, chapter 1. King Sudyumna become a woman. So Shraddha Dev or Vevaswant Manu. There are different Manus. So Vevaswat Manu, the father of Maharaj Ikshvaku, he did not had any son before the Ikshvaku's birth. But by the grace of the Vasishtha Muni, he performed the yajna, and then to satisfy the Mitra and Varuna. And then Vevasvans Manu, he wanted to have the son, but his wife desire was to have the daughter. And then daughter was produced, her name was Ela, and then Manu was not fully satisfied. So for the satisfaction of the Manu, Vasishtha Muni prayed for Ela to be transformed into the man, into a boy in different world. And then by the prayers of the Vasishtha Muni, and offered to prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ela was transformed into a beautiful young man named Sudyumna. So Sudyumna means first as a Ela, as a girl, and then after that Sudyumna, and then Sudyumna, one time he was traveling with his minister. He went for a tour, and then he went to the Mount Sumeru, and in the forest name is Sukumara. There when they entered, and they all of them they transfer into the woman. And then Sudhumna, how he was transformed into the woman, Maharaj Parishit he asked, and then he was very beautiful woman, and then accepted Buddha, the son of the moon, as her husband, and then had the son also named Pururava, and but by the grace of the Lord Shiva, he was again transformed into the man. So 1 month as a woman, 1 month as a man. So he was ruling the kingdom. So you see, the person is the same. Like a garment, we are changing the same way their gender is changing. Person is not changing. Soul is not changing. Modern surgery also that goes like that only. Person is the same, but body is changing in different words. Means their sexual identity has been changing. So we have to go to the cycle of birth and death continuously, but when we come in contact with the saintly person, then there is a chance, when we are serving properly to the saintly person, and then there is a chance we can be cut out the cycle of the birth and death, and we can go back to home, back to Godhead. And without the saintly person, it is not possible to start the bhajan kriya. And then anartha nivriti, then come to the nishtha, ruchi, asakti, bhava, prema, and then go back to Godhead. Only it is possible by the association. And what we are doing here, every Monday to Thursday, Sadhu Sangha. And Sadhu Sangha what does? They tushtanti cha ramanti cha kathayanti bodhasa parasparam. So discussion of the Krishna Katha. And that is the also eternal. And that's why it is transforming our thought, material, and becoming to the spiritual things. And then we can give up our propensity, means owner propensity our proprietorship. I'm the owner, or I'm the doer, and then become the servant, and finally we can situate to our original constitution position. Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. And in Kali Yuga, it is possible only Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana, by chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is the most remedy. Means expertly it has been given by Lord Chaitanya to us. Chant and be happy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So any question or comment? Hare Krishna.
That was an interesting story about Ila and Sudyumna. So you're saying the soul is more important than the body, basically. That's the point you were trying to make, right?
Correct. And also,
that regardless of the body, the soul is the same.
that's why it has been mentioned in chapter 5, Pandita Samadarshina.
Oh, that story is mentioned in chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita?
No. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, Pandita, the learned person who sees the cow, Chandala, and other as an individual soul, part and
I
parcel
thought the
of the
story
Lord.
of Ila and Sudyumna was mentioned.
No.
I didn't remember that. Yeah, so it's not just the modern day transgender
Exactly.
that we're talking about. This happened way in the past too. Right?
And that area was, I think, men was not allowed to come to that area.
Oh, I see.
That something was there. It is related to the Lord Shiva. I don't. One time I heard from Pyari Prabhuji. One time he was describing about Bhagavatam class, maybe in the old temple. So I was hearing in the morning.
But it says somewhere that Ila was cursed, right? To be.
I don't know the previous life, Mataji. Definitely there may be. Because from one story it goes the previous life. So yes, definitely there will be.
The basic point is that it was the same person in two different bodies.
Correct.
Yeah.
I thought let us talk differently. So,
but yeah, for the sake of Dharma, so many millions were killed, right, in the Mahabharata war.
correct.
So it goes to show that Dharma is more important than so-called non-violence.
Non-violence is very important. That is also, it comes in Bhagavad Gita. It has been described.
Right, non-violence is important.
Yeah, transcendental quality.
I mean, even Krishna and Yudhishthira and the Pandavas brokered peace as much as they could, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they went to such great lengths. They tolerated so many things from Duryodhana. They went to all the, Jnatavasa, this thing, that thing. He gave like so much trouble to them, and they tolerated it all. Even through that Lakshagraha, they went through the fire, and in spite of all that, they still asked only for 5 villages, right? In the end. And Krishna himself tried to broker the peace. But Duryodhana would said, he would not even given them a land as the size of a needle or something like that, he says, So then all else failed, right? With Duryodhana's ignorance, what else could be done?
Yeah. But if you will look that, it was the plan of the Dhritarashtra. because
right, right. Ultimately, it was Dhritarashtra's.
Duryodhan innocently he was put the poison. He has
Yeah,
given the poison against to his means cousins.
right. And encouraged by Dhritarashtra, you're
Yeah.
right. And also, ultimately, I'm sure Krishna had a plan of reducing the burden of the earth,
Correct.
by these
Correct.
wars.
Definitely.
Otherwise, so many millions would not have gathered, on both sides. So for everything, there was a plan. Um, yeah, I remember in the old days, during my grandfather's generation, when somebody left their body, they used to immediately take it for cremation.
Yeah.
They would not wait very long. And I remember constantly saying, my grandmother saying, keeping the body even for a moment after, the soul has left the body was considered a burden for the earth. But in India, it is also because of the hot temperature. The body decomposes very easily. That's why they do not delay. There is a rule. I think they have to do something within
Yes,
certain period of
Mataji.
time, like 6 hours or 8 hours. They have to, have to be cremated. Right. Now they can keep them in morgues and things like that. Currently
Actually,
in India.
yeah.
Yeah, if somebody is, I don't know, if their sons or daughters are outside, they have to take time. Right. But that is the usual custom. I think it is mainly because of the heat. But I remember my grandmother describing to me, Sujata, that it was considered a bhubhara. She used to say, it was considered a burden on the earth to keep a dead body. Because in one sense, in Vedic times, they really considered that the body that's not serving the Lord is a burden on the earth.
I am reading the Garun Purana. So in that it has been mentioned that some other entities they will enter into the body, and that's why it is very important to have the particular pavitra sthan when body has been means generally nowadays people are dying in the hospital with so many other things, but generally in I have seen when during my childhood nobody used to die in the hospital, they used to die in the home. And I have seen how people are dying. 4 or 5 people I have seen death in front of me only, being as a young boy. So they used to put the cow dungs and then smear the cow dung on the ground, and then after that make it nicely decorations, rangoli, and then after that put the living entities on that area on the ground, and then after that they will recite, they used to recite and all those, especially Ramnam, and then or somebody used to read the Bhagavad Gita and depending upon our Bhagavatam. But mainly I have seen Ram Nam as, and when they left their body, and then they used to do the rituals immediately, and then taking the body for the cremations. And there is different pindadanas and all those things.
And even when they would carry the body, they would say Ram Nam Satya.
Yeah. And that time it is called the not the individual persons, they it is called the preta. As soon as body is out, means soul is out, name is called the preta. So everything whatever shraddha is performed, it is for the preta, satisfaction of the preta. And then after when shraddha is completed fully 1 year, then after sapindi it become individual become the uh, pitra. Before that, I think up to the sapindaki rituals, it is called by the name of the preta.
Mhm.
And
Right. And up to like 13th day, there is certain things. On the 7th
correct.
day, they have some ceremonies. Yeah, they do have different ceremonies up until the 12th and 13th days.
There are 16 Shraddha Khodasi and all those. It is very good to read the Garuna Purana. When I'm reading, I am thinking why I did not read before only. But at least I'm able to understand. I have seen all those rituals. I came from the village, so most of them I know.
Mm. Well, I remember my grandmother explaining to me that the body was immediately cremated because it was a burden on the earth. If we are not serving the Lord in some way.
My grandmother, she used to means one of my uncle, uncle means like my grandfather's brother's son, and she was always, no matter, she used to love a lot. And then she used to say, if I will die, he will be the person who will be doing my cremations, because I don't know my son will be there or not, and body has to cremated immediately. So he is always at home, so he will be doing all those things.
Right. I mean, from that sense, Ramanand Prabhu, if you are actually not serving the Lord, we are a burden on the earth.
Yeah.
Period. We don't have to be dead body to be a burden on the earth. If you're not serving the Lord, you're as good as a dead body.
Exactly.
A burden on the earth.
Even one time I was hearing Niranjan Swami Maharaj lecture in the temple. In the lecture, he mentioned that a, it is like a decorating the ornament to the dead body. Uh, so if whatever intelligence and all those things are there, that is regulating ornaments to the dead body. So until or unless when we are not crystal
serving,
serving to the Lord, all those qualities, whatever so-called learn, all those things, everything is on this material platform only.
That's so very true.
Thank you, Mataji. So we can stop here. Any other point?
Unless anybody has any other questions.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
Vancha
Vanchakalpatarubhasya
kalpatarubhyascha vasundabhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Srimad Bhagavad
Ramananda
Gita ki
Prabhu
jai,
ki
Hare
jai.
Sabi
Thank you very
Vaishnav ki
much for a
jai.
nice
Thank you,
class,
Mataji.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you, Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.